We bake all our own bread here, and it's one thing that gives us a real control over what we eat, especially having a daughter that's type 1 diabetic as well. It's way better for her than having anything shop bought. So every week we tend to bake around 30 rolls for sandwiches, which are really easy, and we do use the bread maker for those. When we bake a few sourdough loaves, we have egg on toast for breakfast. So I'm going to show you how we do our sourdough now. It's dead simple, really easy one to make. Just need a little bit of time and set timers, but it's not much time if you add it all up. So, first of all, need a couple of mixing bowls and a decent set of scales. So the hardest bit of making sourdough is remembering to feed your starter the night before. So this is my starter, and you can see it's started to bubble up, so we know it's alive and well. And I'll feed this, it smells quite strongly. This is 50-50 flour and water, but I use a rye flour, which I think is like a slow burning flour. Feeds it really nicely. So I'll feed that up. So I'm going to zero the scales now. Put 100 grams of flour, 100 grams of water. We want 200 grams in here. We're going to take it all out. Get it up to that 200 mark. Or just, if it's over, it doesn't matter. And we're going to scrape out the pots, right? Now I don't feed my sourdough every day, right? I haven't got time for that, and I would forget. Lucky I feed the children every day, to be honest. So what I do is I scrape it out like that, put the lid back on it, pop that in the fridge. That's good for 2 weeks or more. You can put some water back in there, mix it round, get some of the sourdough off the sides, put your flour in there, and it'll come alive again. You don't have to feed it every day. Utter fallacy. I don't do any discard. There's no waste of my sourdough. I don't want to waste flour all the time. So I put this in the fridge now. Okay, so now we're going to add some water. And what we want is 620 grams of water. So tear that. And just mix that sourdough starter around in that water. And now we want 900 grams of strong white bread flour. Now you can't make good quality bread without good quality flour. Make sure you're buying good, strong bread flour. I buy mine from Ship to Mill. I have done for about 10 years. It's superb stuff. I buy the organic number 4. Tear it again. Then with that added, we want 16 grams of salt. Bread without salt just really isn't bread at all. So it should be about 2 teaspoonsful. This is to make 2 loaves. And not essential, but I think it helps. Just a little spot of oil or fat of some description. And then all we're going to do now, the first stage of this, we're just going to bring this together. This is why I use one of these silicone spatulas to start with. This is a new batch of flour, and it does react a little bit different probably than the last one, but not by much. That's why I'm not too hard and fast with the measurements. So if you're doing it professionally, you've got to be pretty spot on. I am not. I'll get my dough scraper. You're going to need a dough scraper as well at some point. Just let that come together into kind of a shaggy dough. So it's just like that, not even ready to knead. We're just going to, I'll put a bit of water over it as well, just to kind of let it hydrate a little bit more. And then I just cover it with another same size bowl, save using any cling film. I'm going to leave that for half an hour to rest. Okay, it's been half an hour, and you see it started to absorb some of that water. What we're going to do, get it onto a board. I've got my pastry stone here that I'm going to use. And instead of putting flour down, I'm going to put a bit of water down, spread it out. Going to damp my hands as well. And then we're going to take it all out of here. Onto the stone. Then we're going to do about a dozen folds. So you're kind of kneading it a little bit, just bringing it back. It's quite a wet dough this time. Just let it stretch out, fold it back in. Should be no lumps. There we go. Back in the bowl. Scrape up anything left over. Chuck in there on top. Leave the scraper in there. Put the lid on it. Stop it forming a skin. Make sure you wipe it down straight away, otherwise it goes like glue. Ready for next time. Now we're going to leave it for 2 more hours, so we're going to do something else. Okay, although I've got other things going on in the kitchen, we are going to fold our bread again. Here it is. It has risen. It's really warm in here, so this isn't 2 hours actually, it's more like an hour and a half, which is fine. We will do the same again. We'll spread a little bit of water on the board, and we can do roughly the same again, maybe a few less folds. You can feel already how that texture has changed in the bread. It's gone silky. You know when you knead it, look at that. Oh yeah. Wet your hands as well, helps it stick in. So it's 3, 4. It starts to tighten up as you work it. 5, 6, 7, 8. Make it into a ball, chuck it back in the pot. So chuck it back in there, lid on again, and we'll leave it for another 2 hours. So you see I've been busy in the kitchen, but we're going back onto the bread, and you can see it's risen up loads, nice and fluffy there. Good stretch to it. This is the 3rd fold, just gonna wet the board, wet my hands a little bit. And this one we're not going to leave it to proof quite so long. Get it out like that. So we're going to do the same again with the folds. About 8 folds. And we're just building that strength up in the bread. We're going to cook this in a loaf tin. It's a lot easier, I find, and it fits in the toaster. That'll do. Not going to mess around too much with it. We'll let that go for an hour now, or maybe 45 minutes. Right, we're getting there. We're nearly there. There's lots of steps, so they don't take very long. This is the pre-shaping kind of step of it. So we're going to put it out. We're going to use a floured surface now. Now I've just got some normal kind of cake flour there. Plain flour, whatever you want to call it. We'll put that there. You can see how quickly this is growing. It's so warm in here. I would normally give it a bit more time, but and what we're going to do, we're going to cut this in half and make our 2 loaves. Try and get it somewhere near even. Try and get it so it's kind of non-stick on the flour. It's going to stick a bit. Same with this one. And then we're not so worried about it holding its shape quite as much as a normal sourdough loaf because we're going to use loaf tins. But we'll leave that now. You can form a skin, it doesn't matter. For an hour probably. I'll do it just before I pick the kids up from school. I'm going to put it into the tins. You can cover it with a tea towel, might not be a bad idea. Make sure it's well floured if you're going to do that though. There's nothing worse than a tea towel sticking. Okay, the kitchen's getting a little bit crowded for what's been going on here today. Just going to put a spot of oil in each and wipe it round. They don't need much. Probably too much in there actually. Just coat the whole thing. Make sure our loaves can fall out. Come out. Okay, so uncover our bread. Now, ordinarily, I'd probably shake this again. You could do this whole process one more time, but I'm just going to lift this up now, each one, and it's just getting flopped into the tin. Same with this one. I'll leave this about half an hour now before I fire up the oven. And I'm going to fire the oven up maximum temperature, and in the bottom, this tray's been used lots of times for it. I'm just going to put this tray, and that's going to hold our boiling water when it comes to it to create steam. But at the moment we'll just leave that, go pick the boy up, come back, put the oven on flat out, let it heat up, and then we'll see where we are. Okay, so now we're going to cook it. The oven is fired up. I've let it heat up loads. I like it to be really hot. I've just boiled this kettle with some water. Before I chuck them in, I'm just going to use a lane. I'm just going to slice across the top. This one's getting a little blunt actually. You can see it's just dragging the bread. And that just gives the bread somewhere to go as it kind of rises. You can be far more fancy. These are very rustic loaves, it must be said. Right. And then we'll put about half a kettle full of boiling water in that tray at the bottom. Close the door. And then we're going to keep it on that high heat, so on the maximum heat for 15 minutes. Then we're going to knock it down to about 200 for another 30 minutes. Oh, look at that. Now you should tip them out and tap the bottom to make sure they're done. I've done these loaves so many times, I know that's cooked. You can see on the bottom there, nice and golden. You see how easy they slip out of these tins as well. Then we'll leave those to cool and we'll cut them open in a bit. So it's got that back from a talk. I'm gonna have a sneaky bit of bread. Crumb on that. Superb. Okay, there we go. Have a sourdough loaf finished. I always bake it in a loaf tin. It fits in the toaster much nicer. You also don't need to worry so much about the structure because it kind of holds together. You can see it's some lovely bread. I cut some last night when I got back from my talk very late. Got a lovely crumb. Nice air bubbles. Not too big so the butter falls through. Yeah, so that's how I make sourdough in a day. We love it, we make it lots, and we tend to have it for breakfast for toast. So I will now slice this up into slices, and I'll freeze it in slices in the freezer. Nothing goes to waste then. It's just a really easy way of using your bread. Also, freezing it lowers the GI. We've got a diabetic, type 1 diabetic daughter, so having a lower GI on your bread is even better, and sourdough's better again as well for that. Obviously, you can increase the kind of sourness and the flavour of it. A lot of people leave it overnight to prove. We do that quite often as well, depending on when we start making the bread. But I quite like doing it in a day like this. I find it rises really well. You don't need to worry too much about it. It's quite forgiving. With the timings of your folding and everything else like that, you can be quite lax with it really. It can be more, it can be less. You can forget about it, come back, and it still come back to you. It is quite forgiving. So yeah, that's our sourdough loaves. We bake a few of those every week, and that's how we have for breakfast. So thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.